Talk to us first about why now. We were just talking about this heating up that we're seeing in the IPO market. You're seeing more companies actually come out of the pipeline after what's been a pretty quiet couple of years. Why did you pick this particular moment?
Well, it was always part of our strategy. I mean, if you look at what we've been doing, we got orbital flight heritage on our Alpha rocket on our second launch, and we landed on the moon just in March of this year. That's something that's really hard. Space is hard, but landing on the moon is even harder, and this company did it successfully. And then if you look at what we're doing, we have a production line of Alpha rockets, and we're building our Eclipse reusable 16-ton rocket, as well as lunar landers annually, and we're building Electra spacecraft to serve, the Golden Dome customer, space exploration, as well as commercial tech. And so if you look at what the CEO of NASDAQ said, Adina Friedman, the markets are strong and they're growing. And we've gotten really great reception and conviction from investors over time. And so this is the right moment.
You're going to raise almost $1 billion. It looks like $868 million. Jason, what are you going to do with the money?
Well, it's kind of like what I already said. We're going to rate up. We're going to continue to increase capacity because there's so much more demand in the space markets right now because of national security, because of space exploration to the moon. The moon is really important. It's the ultimate high ground. It's also important if we're going to put humans on the moon again, starting in a couple of years. We want to know everything about the moon. We want to put more lunar landers up there, more infrastructure, more power systems up there too. So we want to make the moon more frictionless for everybody, for America first.
And we're just seeing this headline cross the terminal now that the Firefly IPO is set to end more than 20 times oversubscribed. So plenty of demand there. Jason, let's talk a little bit more about the actual business and what the status of Eclipse is. As I understand it, that's your rocket that's meant to compete against the Falcon 9. How is that going?
Well, we see the Falcon 9 as very complementary. That's looking at the heavy and super heavy market, and a lot of that is going towards good use to launch Starlinks. But the rest of the world needs launch capacity, and in 2027, it's going to be really scarce. And so that's why, our target of launching our first Eclipse in the fourth quarter of 2026 is perfect timing because we'll be able to provide more supply of medium launch for national security space launch program customers as well as the commercial customers. They're putting up a lot of great advanced technology that are in abundant quantities for those proliferated constellations.
You mentioned Adina. You're at the NASDAQ, obviously tried and true, storied index there and business. But did you think about TXSE? You're from Texas.
Well, Texas is a great place to do business. I've run previous companies, and Texas is just at the forefront. They have the Texas Space Commission, and we received an $8.2 million grant in 2025, and we're going to use that to expand our production line of concurrent builds of our Blue Ghost lunar landers. As you know, as of last Tuesday, NASA awarded us our fourth Blue Ghost lunar lander for $178 million, and we're just proud of the team. We're going to kick that program off next week. And we're hiring a lot of great talent. So if there's people that want to come and do bold missions and do more of what they want to do, Firefly is the place to do that.
All right, appreciate the update there on that contract too. I want to talk a little bit about the Alpha rocket as well. When you think about your long-term strategy, where does Alpha fit in? How important is that?
Alpha is so important because it's the only one-ton to space rocket in the market with orbital flight heritage. We're rating up right now because there's so much more demand than there is supply. And so we want to be able to address that demand. So there's demand in the tactically responsive space market from the Space Force. They want to keep ahead of the threats. And we did that with our Victus Nox mission in 2023. We were the first to successfully launch in a 24-hour timeline, shattering the 21-day previous record. And it became the gold standard for launch in space. And then if you look at, commercial customers, they want dedicated rides to mission-unique orbits to generate revenue from their business models. And then finally, we onboarded onto the Missile Defense Agency MACH-TB 2.0 program, and that's an IDIQ where we'll start manifesting launches of 3 to 4 hypersonic missiles at a time. There's a lot of economies of scale with that. So there is so much demand for the one-ton Alpha rocket.